This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven Sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching and participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Thursday night, May the 13th, 2021. Joining me as always in the upper left-hand corner of your screen from Studio B, Phatts Studio B, deep in the heart of central Pennsylvania. The one, the only, non-genetically proven Sun. How's it going?
It's going all right.
It's going all right. Beautiful day out today.
Yeah. Shot my best score ever in disc golf. -8.
Whoa.
Oh.
Did you get in the clown's mouth on the first try? Is that how this worked?
No hole-in-ones.
Oh. Okay.
Sorry to break it to you. My putting was good. We're good on the greens today.
So, May the 13th is an interesting day in my life.
Why is it an interesting day, Mr. Phatts?
Well, I mean, it's not hugely interesting, but it is interesting.
Okay.
My first serious girlfriend and I started dating 33 years ago today.
Congratulations.
Woo! A little bit of Phatts trivia for all you guys out there.
There you go.
Phatts trivia. There'll be a quiz next week.
Quiz next week.
So tonight is a sports night. We're going to talk about the NFL schedule. We're going to talk about the Preakness, or at least I'm going to talk about the Preakness because I didn't send the PPs to the non-genetically proven Sun. And I'm just gonna fly through it. Not gonna talk in depth like we did for the Kentucky Derby. And then we're gonna look at the NHL playoffs. We're gonna look back at how we did in our predictions.
I don't want to talk about my prediction.
I'm not going to go back and play it. If you want to go back and actually watch what we predicted, you could go back to our January 14th episode of Phatts TV. You will find our predictions towards the end of the show.
Yana says hi.
Hello. It's interesting how it comes up on yours before it comes up on mine. Oh. So, last night, the schedule was released for the NFL. One of the, better nights of the off-season in the NFL. There's three best nights of the off-season. It's when the schedule gets released that you know what teams you're playing. Although, until this year, you always knew what teams you were playing. This year, with the introduction of an 18th game, you're playing one extra out-of-conference game this year. So now you're playing 5 out-of-conference games. And then the next greatest night is draft night, the first night of draft night, of course, and then the schedule release. So we're going to go through the schedule. And we're each going to pick out a game or so each week that we think is going to be important. And we may say why, we may not say why. We may not really care why we picked it. We just picked it for the hell of it. Right?
That's some of my middle games, to be honest, because it's hard to tell.
Alright, there we go. Now we're back. Somehow, even though I'm plugged in tonight, it says we're buffering. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know what you heard, but I was talking about the Dallas Tampa Bay game and the Green Bay New Orleans game, and you were talking about the Chicago Rams game and the Cleveland Kansas City game, basically.
Yes.
All right. So you keep an eye on what's going on with. Make sure we're not buffering because I can't keep that up. I got the schedule up.
Okay.
Week number 2. What games are you looking at in week number 2?
I looked at the San Francisco Philly game. I said, assuming Trey Lance is starting, it's his first big test because San Fran plays the Lions in their first game. Said, could Philadelphia be on a comeback season? And even the 49ers on a comeback season, I think it could be important for either team to start 2-0. And then my backup game was Kansas City and Baltimore. Said, obviously that game is interesting. I could see Kansas City losing, but being the only game they may lose.
I see. I'm going to put us back up. So for me, on week number 2, I was looking at, obviously, Kansas City, Baltimore, obviously. But Tennessee, Seattle, that could be an interesting game. Seattle usually plays well at home, but they've fallen off a little bit in the last few years. Who knows how Tennessee, they're an up-and-coming team with their running, so we'll see how they do. All right, week 3. Excuse me, I'm trying to watch a couple screens now to see if this thing is buffering. All right, week 3.
Week 3, I'm looking at, my first game I'm looking at is Tampa Bay and the Rams. Obviously, you got your Super Bowl champs, but versus the new Rams, as I called them. I said I like the Rams to be good this year, but could be a little early to keep up with Brady because I don't think Stafford and the whole team is going to gel by week 3. And my other game I looked at was Philly and Dallas. I said it could be an early decider in the divisional standings.
Yeah, I focused right on that Philly-Dallas game myself. That's the Monday night game, I believe.
I don't remember.
I believe that's the Monday night game. Interesting. I wonder if that's why. Yes, that is the Monday night game. It is at Dallas. The winner of this game may go on to win the division. Very early season matchup. Indy, Tennessee, another good game on the schedule. All right. So, week number 4. Go ahead.
I looked at Cleveland and Minnesota. I said I liked Minnesota in the NFC North this year. I think they will have a comeback season, and facing a competitor looking to make a run in the playoffs this year can make for a good early season matchup. My backup game was Pittsburgh and Green Bay. I said this game could be interesting, depend on who is starting for Green Bay, though.
Exactly. All right. So I'm focusing on 2 games here in week 4. Week 4 is going to be an interesting game. Obviously, the game everybody's going to have their eyes on is the Sunday night game when Tampa Bay goes into New England.
I don't think that's a very interesting game.
Well, the game itself may not be interesting, but the subplot of the game is going to be interesting. Supposedly, I read today that even the cheap seats are going for over $1,000 already.
Why?
Because it's
Who
Tom
wants to
Brady
go see a 35-13 blowout?
It's Tom Brady coming home. That's why. But the other game I'm interested in is going all the way up to Thursday night. Jacksonville at Cincinnati.
I saw that game.
You
I was
got
thinking the same thing.
you got the number 1 pick this year versus the number 1 pick last year. To me, that makes for some interesting football. Interesting. Week 5.
As you just mentioned, I have Jacksonville versus Tennessee for this one. I said Jacksonville could be 0-4 coming into this game. I think they'll start to gel a little bit better by this time and can maybe make a close game with Tennessee as long as they can stop the run. My backup game was Kansas City and Buffalo. AFC title match rematch could be defining for Kansas City.
It could very well be. I'm looking at the Denver at Pittsburgh game. Why? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be the quarterback of the Denver Broncos by then?
He could.
Could very well be. The other game is Miami and Tampa. The battle of the state of Miami. Interesting. Miami's definitely an up-and-coming team. They may have the ability to stop Terrific Tom or Tom Terrific.
I don't know if two is their answer, though.
True. The Monday night game could also be an interesting game, as well as the Thursday night game. The Thursday night game of the Rams and the Seahawks, and the Monday night game of the Colts and Baltimore. That could be an interesting game, too. Week 6.
I have both of these games. I did none go over for either for me. I had Green Bay and Chicago. I said, is Chicago the real deal? Could they be better this year? Is Green Bay any good? Could this be a somewhat division-defining game? My other game was Kansas City and Washington. I said this could be a low-scoring upset alert.
Okay. I'm once again focusing on the Thursday game. Tampa at the Eagles. God, I hope and pray Tom comes into the link and puts up 60 on Philly.
Everybody hopes that.
But let's face it, Philly has a way of getting up against these really good teams when they play them at home. And it's a Thursday night game. And you know the rule about traveling over 800 miles on a Thursday night. Teams that travel over 800 miles typically do not win that game. Tampa to Philly is very close to 800 miles. I'll have to pull it up on a map to see exactly how long that is. But it's very close.
I got you.
All right. Bills and Titans Monday night game could be a very interesting game.
Can you tell me how many miles that is?
Yeah, it's taking you a long time.
It's not telling me.
To go into Google Maps and do directions from Tampa to Philly.
That's what I'm doing. Well, I don't know.
You talk about week 7, I'll look it up.
All right, week 7. My first game is the Jets versus New England.
Jets, Jets.
I said, are the new quarterbacks looking any good? 2 new quarterbacks. I'm assuming what's his face is going to start for New England over Newton. I can't remember his name. The Alabama quarterback they picked. So are the Jets primed to make a comeback? They need to get out of their hole of picking quarterbacks and maybe pick something else. Or is it the same old Jets? Is this a Bill Belichick mastermind? My other game is the Rams versus Detroit. Battle of past quarterbacks. Do the Lions have any improvement?
Okay. By the way, Philly to Jacksonville is 845 miles.
Ooh, there we go.
So just over that 800-mile mark.
Big buck on the Eagles.
Just over that 800-mile mark. Kansas City at Tennessee. They played some very interesting games the past couple of years. Will they play another one this year? We'll see. Saints have to go to the Seahawks on Monday night. A lot of West Coast Monday night or Sunday night games this year, by the way. Like half of them are on the left coast. Week number 8, Halloween week.
So the only game that I liked this week was Tennessee and Indy. I said it's a big divisional matchup, and it could be an early way to get ahead in this division. I do like Tennessee preseason.
Okay. Yeah, this is a bit of a boring week. I will agree. I mean, you have Steelers versus Browns, which is, they hate each other pretty much. The Sunday night game could be interesting. Dallas at Minnesota, especially if, masks and they could fill the arena. Halloween with no masks on. Think about it. Think about it. How's that for a switch? Week 9.
I have Minnesota versus Baltimore. I said I like both teams preseason. I think this could define Minnesota's season and mark a stamp that they are ready and primed for another run. My backup game is Arizona and the 49ers for the reason of I think the 49ers are going to be good. I think this could be a defining game for them as well.
Oh, you do you?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were going to come back and say something.
Green Bay Chiefs. If Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback for Green Bay, they have to go into Kansas City.
Most of my picks are assuming Aaron Rodgers will not be the quarterback at Green Bay. Otherwise, I would have chose that game.
Got ya.
Duh.
Week 10.
Tampa versus Washington. I like Washington with the defense in the middle of the season. I think they will be fighting for their division and could make a mark or stamp it with a win. Backup game, I have the Rams and the 49ers. Kind of the same reason I chose the 49ers the week before. I think this could be a division-defining game.
Got ya. I'm once again focusing on Green Bay. They're at home against Seattle.
Josh has Dallas to win the Super Bowl. Keep dreaming.
I hope for your sake they do.
Keep dreaming. At least it's not the Eagles.
And the Sunday night game of the Chiefs versus the Raiders, the Raiders usually come up and play really good against the Chiefs. If the Chiefs potentially are undefeated going into that game, they may not be undefeated anymore after it. Blue Horseshoe likes Endicott Steel. Fat guy likes Oakland Raiders in that game. Book it, Dano. Week 11.
You love always your second game picking my next week's one of my teams. I have Vegas versus Cincy this week. So by this time we'll know what Vegas is looking like. Are they primed to make the playoffs? Or the injury string? No backup game.
No backup game. Well, you always got Green Bay at Minnesota to look at. Big rivalry there. Big rivalry. Arizona at Seattle. How many times has Arizona gone into Seattle and won over the last 4 or 5 years? Dallas on the road at Kansas City? Never know. Especially Kansas City coming off a division game. If they lose that game, I wouldn't give Dallas much of a chance in that game. Sorry, Josh. Sorry, Josh. Week 12, which should be Thanksgiving week.
I have Cleveland versus Baltimore. This can be a huge influence on who is winning this division and maybe even getting the 1 seed in the AFC. My backup game is Tampa Bay versus Indy. Is Tampa Bay 9-2 or 7-4? 4 going into that game.
All right.
Because Tom Brady just has this way of sometimes just not playing good until we get towards the playoffs. Then he turns it on.
Then he turns it on. I don't like really any games this week. Next.
You don't like Cleveland-Baltimore?
Well, yeah, I do, only because, Baltimore is the old Cleveland team, but you kind of talked a little bit about it, so.
Yeah.
I'm passing on Thanksgiving week. I'll be asleep with tryptophan all weekend.
There you go.
So, week 13.
I have the 49ers and Seattle. So I think the 49ers could be getting ready here to win the division. And the backup game was New England and Buffalo. And the big question I have here is New England even in the playoff picture?
Are they?
I don't know. Why don't you ask me week 13 if they're in the playoff picture or not? I can give you an answer.
Okay. All right. So I focused on only one game this week, one game this week. And this is what's going to give Dallas the division championship somewhere down the road. Book it, Dano. The Jets, Jets will beat the Eagles. Week 13.
Eagles are finishing third in that.
They might be 2-10 coming into that game, but they're going to win that game. Week 14.
I have Dallas versus Washington. I said, is Dallas healthy? This game could be a division decider. I think it'll be close all throughout the NFC East this year. But hopefully, a team over 500 will win a division. My backup game is Chicago and Green Bay. Could this be a game for either team to stay in the divisional race? Because I think the Vikings will be in first at that time.
Okay. I'm going right back to the Jets again, coming off their huge win against the Eagles, staying at home against the Saints. They get smoked.
They get smoked.
They get smoked. Week 15.
I had Tampa Bay versus New Orleans. I said this game will wrap up the division for Brady. And my backup game is Washington versus Philly. This game will kill Philly. Washington's going to go into Philly, kick some butt, and Philly's going to be, at that time, 6-9.
Okay. Titans Steelers. What are the Steelers going to be like by the time this ends? They, on paper, using last year's records, have the most difficult schedule, by the way. I think the Eagles have the easiest, by the way. So I don't know. You might be pretty tough for them to finish third if they actually do have the easy.
Rams versus Minnesota. How is Stafford settled in? Who's in the playoff picture? And how Minnesota has Minnesota won the NFC North yet? Those are all my big questions for that one.
Okay. I'm once again focusing on the Jets as Jacksonville comes to town. The battle of the number 1 versus the battle of the number 2 pick. The Jets win this game because I fucking hate Urban Meyer.
Doesn't every Penn State person?
Week 17.
I said Miami versus Tennessee. I said Miami, I think, could grab a good stronghold on the wild card spot with a win in this game. My backup game is Indy versus Vegas. An Indy win could put the heat on Tennessee to win that game. So I think there could be a back and forth that week for that division.
Got it. I'm once again focusing on the Jets at home against your world champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Did Tampa Bay clinch home field advantage in the NFC East yet? If they did, it could be a surprisingly close game. If they didn't, Tampa Bay by 162. Week 18, the final week. As usual, as the NFL has been doing lately, the last week is all division. All division. So the question is, who is going to be battling who for a division win at this point?
I said there's not really one specific game to look at. I more focus on who I think might get the top 2 seeds. So the NFC, it'll be Tampa, Vikings, 49ers could be fighting for it, and the AFC, Kansas City, Cleveland, Baltimore, Buffalo.
Got it. So let's look at this week and see, is there a potential for a matchup where a team, whoever wins this game could win their division? Dallas, Philly, potential, yes. Green Bay, Detroit, no. Colts, Jaguars, no. Patriots, Dolphins, no. Saints, Falcons, no. Tennessee, Texans, maybe. Slight chance. Steelers, Ravens, no. Jets, Bills, absolutely not. Bengals Browns, no. Chargers Raiders, no. San Fran Rams, potential. Kansas City Denver, no. Seattle Arizona, potential. So there's not that many, as great as it is on week 18 where you have, divisions fight, the teams in each division playing each other. I don't see much of a potential where teams could be playing each other where the winner wins the division. Let's put it that way. I don't really see that really happening.
Part of the reason why I kind of focused on who's going to get buys here. Because I think there could be some games where we're looking at buys, especially in the AFC, with like Cleveland, Baltimore, and those two teams fighting it out.
Mm-hmm. So those is our quick rundown of the NFL schedules. Now, we're certainly not going to give any predictions tonight. We will save that for right before the season begins. We'll do that, on opening night.
It's on the television and I turn it on. That's when the game starts.
Very good. Very good. Very good. By the way, before we turn to the Preakness, how does it feel not being considered a senior now, according to Penn State?
I'm still going to call my senior. I am still a senior and upperclassman. You can go fuck yourself. Now, we have been... I wouldn't say most of the time they kind of call us by, what year we are already. But why does it matter is my big question. So, for everybody wondering, Penn State is taking away the words freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, upperclassmen, and lowerclassmen because they're gendered towards males. One, I have no idea how. I don't know where that is gendered towards males.
Okay, well, upperclassmen and lowerclassmen, it's got the word men in it.
Okay, but who cares? And then I'm reading this article that Mr. Phatts sent to me. I read the headline. I'm like, what is this shit? Basically. And I'm reading. I'm like, well, they kind of already do this. Like, they already say, oh, you're a third year. Because that's how they classify your majors. Mm-hmm. That's how... It's because you have your third year classes, your fourth year classes, or you can call them senior classes, whatever. But it's just like, I'm reading this, and then it goes at the bottom, 88% of students agree with this. Who the hell are you asking? Not people like me, that's for sure. One, because we don't give two asses about it. But two, who are you asking? Are we asking the libtards or something who would care about this, which is 0.4% of the...
Yeah.
Rant over. On to the Preakness.
On to the Preakness. So, the second leg of the Triple Crown is this week. It's Saturday from Pimlico in Baltimore. This is like the people's race. Basically, you go down there in the infield and get drunk.
That sounds like a day.
Depending upon how many people they're letting in the infield this year. But that's usually what happens. When you could fill the infield, you go down there, you party, you get drunk. So, the winner of the Kentucky Derby is back in the race. But we got a little issue with him. He tested positive for some drugs after his Kentucky Derby win. Number 3, Medina Spirit. His trainer, Bob Baffert, has been accused of this a lot in his recent past. He is denying it, basically saying it's the cancel culture trying to get him. The cancel culture is apparently now alive and well in the sport of horse racing. Who knew? Who knew? So, usually... the Preakness comes down to one of two things. You either bet the first favorite, the favorite of the race, and the second choice, and everybody has it, and the exacta pays $12. Or you bet the favorite and a long shot. And you hope you have the right long shot, and you hope the long shot wins, so you get paid even more. That's usually how the Preakness works. The Preakness is the shortest race of the three of them. Kentucky Derby's 1.25 miles. Preakness is a 16th of a mile shorter at 1 3/16. And then the Belmont, which is 3 weeks this Saturday, is 1.5 miles. A true test of champions. Not a lot of horses will run 1.5 miles in their career. So, let's take a quick rundown of these horses. The number 1, Ram. He's coming off back-to-back victories. Interesting horse. His first one, let's see here. His first 7 starts were in maiden special weight. So maidens are for horses who've never won. And special weight is they're not up to be claimed, meaning nobody else could buy them. And he didn't do much in any of them. He did get a second back in September of last year, September 3rd, which that may have been Kentucky Derby Day last year. Then they moved him down 2 races ago into the claiming ranks, and he woke up and he won. And then they put him in a non-winner allowance race, basically meaning when they say non-winner allowance race, meaning they could only have won a maiden, a claiming, or a starter allowance. No other allowance races they could have, and he won again. The value of the race was pretty high, $118,000. So he's woken up his last 2. 30-1 on the morning line, long shot. Number 2, keep me in mind, he did run in the Kentucky Derby. He got a very poor start. You could go back and watch the race if you choose. He was one of the horses that got in a little bit of trouble right at the beginning of the race, but he did make some strides. He was 19th, basically through the first 3/8 of a mile. Then he started to make his move, and he finished 7th. Not bad for a track that definitely favored speed horses that day. But besides that, he didn't show all that much. Before that, he finished 5th in the Bluegrass, 6th in the Rebel. He's 15-1 on the morning line. Could he get a piece? I guess, potentially. Maybe. Hopefully for his backers. Medina Spirit. What kind of scrutiny is this horse going to get? Are they going to check him before the race starts for drugs this time? Who the hell knows? The interesting thing about Medina Spirit is, if you look at all of his races, he's won 6 of them. He's never been passed by a horse yet. Look at his first race. Once he got to the lead, he never fell back. In his second race, he finished 2nd, but he never got passed by a horse. His third race, he had the lead all the way around. In the 4th race, he did lose a spot between the first and second call here, but then he gained it back at the end. So you could kind of say he got passed, there a little bit. The next race, he didn't get passed, and then the Kentucky Derby, he went wire to wire. Obviously, he's going to be the favorite. Usually, the Derby winner is the favorite, unless if it was a long shot that won, and the favorite in the Kentucky Derby got in a lot of traffic trouble. But none of that happened this time. Medina Spirit will be your post-time favorite, and he probably should be. Crowded Trade, he finished 3rd in the Wood Memorial. That was a very slow race. If you remember when we talked about it on the show before the Kentucky Derby, he was 7 wide at the top of the stretch. He closed to finish 3rd. He may do the same thing again in this race. Midnight Bourbon was in the Kentucky Derby. He finished a decent 6th. He had a little traffic trouble as well. He was bumped early, and he was 4 wide on both turns. 4 wide on both turns. Very hard to win a race when you're 4 wide on both turns. But he did finish a decent 6th, so he could be there at the end. Rumbauer, the 6-horse, finished 3rd in the Bluegrass. Hasn't shown all that much before that. He's 12-1. He does get Flavian Pratt, one of the best riders out on the left coast. Potentially he could be there, sure. France Godina, if that's how you pronounce it. He's coming over. He's raced in Japan and then the Arab Emirates. He's won 2 races in Japan. But in his 4 lifetime starts, he's only made $145,000. You don't know what he's going to do, so we're just going to toss him. Unbridled Honor finished 2nd in the Lexington, 4th in the Tampa Bay Derby. If the track comes up soft that day, meaning wet, he will advance because his mutter was a mutter. His father was a mutter. His mother was a mutter. Father was a mutter. But he's 20-1 on the morning line. But he could be there at the end. Hint, hint. Risk-taking, the number 9. Finished 7th in the Wood Memorial, but before that he won the Withers. What happened in the Wood Memorial? He bobbled at the start, but then when he was asked for it, nothing happened. He was empty. I think he's going to be towards the front. Will he hang on? Who knows? Number 10, Concert Tour. He was 3rd in the Arkansas Derby. They have a very long stretch in the Arkansas Derby, and he got outkicked in the Derby. He will probably set the pace with the number 3. So, if we're looking for long shots to play with the favorite, I would take Unbridled Honor to be there, and the one horse, of all things, the one horse, the longest shot on the morning line at 30-1. Ram. Obviously, he's woke up his last 2 starts. Dwayne Lucas is the trainer. Dwayne Lucas, going back to the 80s and early 90s, was the best trainer in America. He's not anymore. He's old. This may be his swan song. He is out of American Pharoah, who did win the Triple Crown a number of years ago now. So, watch for Ram. I just think he's going to be there at the end. So, if I'm keeping Medina Spirit with some long shots, it would be the 1, the 4, and the 8. But what I'm going to do is I'll play 3 all, and then all 3, because we're only looking at $18 if you do that. And then I'll put more money on it with the long shots. I probably won't put any win money on the race. I'll play a few trifectas too. I'm not a fan of the Pimlico. I don't usually bet it all that often. A couple of years ago, I did bet it when, what's his name, won the year that Maximum Security got DQ'd from the Derby. I forget the horse's name, but I made like $1,000 in that race. Cause the horse that won was a long shot. And I forget his name. But anyway, on to hockey. Hockey. Everybody's favorite sport. Now, I say this every year come playoff time in hockey. Whether you're watching it or not, whether you watch me, listen to me, talk to me, watch my Facebook page, whatever. Hockey by far is the best playoff sport around when they allow fans in the building.
This is true.
There is nothing like the atmosphere of playoff hockey, with the exception of the World National Synchronized Swimming Championships. That's a rowdy crowd there. Have you ever been to the World Championships for Synchronized Swimming? That's a rowdy crowd, let me tell you. Let me tell you. No, but there's nothing better than when the stands are full. So obviously we're probably 1 year away from it. Maybe down in Florida they'll let some fans in. It would be really nice. I love playoff hockey with fans. The place goes nuts. Ask the non-genetically proven son. We used to go just to minor league hockey, whether it was ECHL or AHL. Even those places are, especially up at Hershey, where they'll sell the place out for playoff games. The atmosphere is just electric.
The one really
good series. Are we talking about the series with Wilkes-Barre Scranton when each team won on their home ice all 7 games?
No, I'm not talking about Hershey. I'm talking about Royals. I'm talking when they
Florida.
won the Cup. Florida.
When he gave the digging him after in Game 6.
Yeah, the digging.
Yes.
He got decked.
Yes.
After.
Yes. All right, so quickly to go over our predictions from earlier this season.
Now, 2 of my teams in the Final Four didn't make the playoffs.
So we just predicted the teams that would make it, and there's 4th in the division. and whoever finished second in the division is facing whoever finished third in the division. Then the division winners, or who's ever left in the division, face each other. That will leave 4 teams. Then the 4 teams are going to get reseeded by points. And then whoever has the most points of the 4 teams left plays the team with the least amount of points of the 4 teams left. And so on, and so on, and so on. So, looking at the Central, we both picked Tampa Bay to win the division. They finished third in the division. But if you go back and watch the tape from the 14th, we said if they get a lot of injuries, anything could happen. They had injuries this season. Their goaltender was down. He's just coming back now. So they kind of have an excuse for not winning the division, but we blew that pick. The pick we really, really, really blew was the East when we both picked the Flyers to make it out of that division, and they finished 6th.
Yeah, let's say they finished 6th.
They finished 6th.
Well, Carter Hart, I think, was injured all year.
Yeah. Injuries.
And that was kind of the sole reason I picked him, because he was kind of insane.
You did.
And he was going to lead him right to it, and, well, when he's injured...
Hey, just keeping it real. Out west, we both picked Colorado to come out of that division, and it could certainly happen. If they win tonight, they are the number 1 seed throughout the playoffs as long as they keep winning. If they lose tonight, Vegas will be the number 1 seed. By the way, you picked Colorado to win the division. I picked why do I keep wanting to say Vancouver? I picked Vegas to win the division. You kind of gave me a funny look. Like, huh? I actually said Colorado could wind up finishing 3rd in this division, which obviously they won't do, but I did say they'll make it out of this division. You actually predicted the possibility of the Kings making it into the playoffs in this division.
They were only 12 points off.
But then again, I also predicted that San Jose might make the playoffs in this division.
Yeah, see? They both had 49 points.
And in the Canadian division, you picked Calgary to make it out, to win the division, to make it out, because you were impressed at what they did last year in the playoffs. Yes, they lost in round 1 to Winnipeg, was it?
Something like that, yeah.
But they played very impressively, so you said they were going to win the division. In fact, you have them losing in the Stanley Cup Finals, you said. And where did they finish?
6th. Only 4 points above Vancouver, and for record, Vancouver sucks.
I
had Ottawa.
I had Toronto winning this division, but I had Edmonton coming out of this division. Because we all know, for you people who watch hockey, how Toronto chokes in the playoffs. All right, so we have all to assume Colorado is going to win tonight because they play the Kings and they beat the Kings 6-0 last night. So we're just going to assume they win tonight. So let's start in the Central, shall we?
Okay.
In the Central, so you have Carolina, the number 1 seed, versus Nashville, the number 4 seed.
This is one of those series where if there was fans, I think it could be a little different, because Nashville fans are kind of insane. Mm-hmm. But I have Carolina getting out of that series 4-1.
4-1 Carolina. I say the same, but it wouldn't surprise me if Carolina sweeps that series. Nashville really is not that great of a team this year.
If Nashville had fans, I could see that getting to 6 or 7.
6, maybe. The other, Florida, the number 2 seed, going against Tampa, the number 3 seed.
I think Florida was one of the shockers this year.
They were.
Florida hasn't really been that good in the last decade.
They haven't.
I I think that could hurt them. I don't really know. For record, I watched about 5 games of hockey this year.
Mm-hmm.
Not much.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the inexperience will hurt them, and Tampa will get through 4-2.
Okay. A team that is young and hungry.
Yes.
Okay. I agree, actually. But it wouldn't surprise me if it goes 7. But that means Tampa would have to go into Florida and win a game 7. Again, the experience factor will work out. So then Carolina would face Tampa in the second round, and who do you have coming out of there?
This one would probably be a battle of all sorts. Now, I don't really know how good Carolina is. Obviously, they won the division.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're pretty good in the playoffs when they make the playoffs because they always face the Washington, and Washington sucks against Carolina. I do have Tampa winning that series 4-3.
4-3. I have Carolina winning that series in 6, 4-2. If by chance Florida does beat Tampa in round 1, I have Carolina beating Florida in 5. Carolina has Florida's number this year. Each team faced the other teams 8 times this year because they only played in their division this year because of COVID. Carolina went 6-2 against Florida. Carolina and Tampa went 4-4 with each other, by the way. So, you have Tampa coming out of the Central. How many points do they have?
They have
70 what?
75.
75. Okay. So let's move to the East. The East. So you have the number 1 seed, your Pittsburgh Penguins, going up against the number 4 seed, the surprise of last year's playoffs, making it to the conference finals, the New York Islanders.
This division, tough division.
I think this is the hardest one.
This series was kind of easy for me. I picked Pittsburgh to win this series. Kind of the same reason I like Tampa. Lots of experience in this team. I don't remember how many of them are when they won 2 Stanley Cups back to back. But you still got Crosby, Malkin, whoever their goalie is, I forget his name. But I have them winning 4-2 in this series.
4-2. I have this going 7. Either team could win. It would not shock me at all if the Islanders win this series. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Islanders win this series. Are you listening to me? It will not surprise me at all if the Islanders win this series. They will win this series in 7.
Okay.
Number 1, first division winner, Boston. By the way, why the Islanders win this series? Same reason why they did so good last year. They were not giving up goals. They have the 3rd best goals against average in the league this year, I believe.
Okay.
They don't score a lot, just like last year as well. Washington, your favorite team against Boston, one of the teams I hate the most.
These 2 teams went first and second all year till the end, and Pittsburgh's like my division. Every time they like a 5-point lead, they started losing. Every time. This is kind of a toss-up for me. I have the Capitals going through 4-3. The home ice advantage in Game 7 might help, but it could honestly go either way.
I think out of all the matchups in the first round, this is the most even matchup. I think Washington got a little unlucky losing the tiebreaker to Pittsburgh. The first tiebreaker, it's not head-to-head. That's not the first tiebreaker. The first tiebreaker is wins in regulation, and they both had the same number of wins in regulation. Washington and Pittsburgh. The second tiebreaker is wins in regulation and overtime without going to a shootout, and there Pittsburgh had a couple more wins. So that's why they're the number 1 seed. Which means Washington has to play Boston. Boston wins this series in 6. As much as I hate to say it. I hate Boston. Almost as much as I hate the Flyers. So we have very different predictions here in this.
About this one.
Yes.
Chara's facing his old team.
He is.
And I do know the Capitals have had injury-stricken goalies, and I heard they're coming back now.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. So, who do you got coming out between Pittsburgh and Washington?
This is a rivalry I can't stand, because Pittsburgh has always had Washington's number. Always. Except the one year when the Capitals finally will get to them, and the demons of the last decade will come right back, and Pittsburgh will win. Last game, 3-0.
3-0. Okay. All right.
And you're dogging my poor Flyer. Tom just tuned in, and you're dogging his poor Flyers.
Uh-huh.
Well, they finished 6th, Tom.
Behind the Rangers.
That's pretty bad.
I will tell you this. If you are a Capitals fan like you are, my young Padawan, non-genetically proven son, you want Washington to play the Islanders. You really want to see Washington play the Islanders. Washington beat them 7 out of 8 times this year.
What did you say?
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I said, you want Washington to play the Islanders because Washington beat them 7 out of 8 times this year.
Yeah, that just means they lose 4-0.
I have, of course, Boston and the Islanders, and simply because I hate Boston, they will beat the Islanders in 6.
I think Boston plays such boring hockey. They really do.
They do.
77. Boston is 73.
I have mine with the points.
Okay.
So let's move up to Canada because we know the matchups there. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. And then they start singing it in French.
My poor Devils, I may never see them in a cup game again.
Josh. Ew.
The Devils.
Ew.
You didn't say Buffalo.
Ew. I'd sooner take Buffalo.
The Devils.
Josh, I thought I taught you better. You're my nephew. You can't like the Devils. Pick a new team. Any team. Any team, but except for the Flyers.
Except for the Flyers.
And the Bruins.
And the Bruins. And Pittsburgh.
No, I'm fine if you pick Pittsburgh.
No, I'm not fine if you pick
All right, so we got the division-winning Toronto Maple Leafs going up against the Canadiens of Montreal. What are we not going to hear in this series? The U.S. national anthem. Oh, Canada.
Now, I know about as much about the North Division, about as much as I know about what's in Scrapple.
Is this a Game of Thrones reference coming up about the North?
I mean, yeah, they could be White Walkers for all I know. That's how much. Josh says the Ducks are his second team. Is that any better?
No, not really.
No, they also finished last in their division.
The Mighty Ducks. Come on. Mighty Ducks. Emilio Estevez was in a movie about... No.
Just because I don't know a whole lot, I know Toronto is a little choky when it comes to the playoffs, but I have them winning against Montreal 4-1.
I have them winning 4-2.
I know Montreal was strong earlier in the season, then they kind of dumped off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Edmonton against Winnipeg. Edmonton, with their star player, Wayne Gretzky, Connor McDavid.
With 110 points.
104 points.
But that's, if we're taking the skill level back then to today, that is Wayne Gretzky number.
Yes. Let's admit it. Gretzky, 1 year, 92 goals, and what do you have, 160 what assists 1 year? 163?
Like 60-30. Yeah.
That's impressive. Edmonton against Winnipeg. I'm going to like this series. It's a shame it's on the left coast where I'm going to have to stay up late to watch these games.
This is one of the series that I would want to watch. I think with fans, this would probably be the best series, one of the best series, period, in the whole playoffs.
Yes.
I'm going to take Edmonton in 7.
I have Edmonton in 5.
All right.
Toronto and Edmonton.
I have Toronto in 5.
Toronto in 5. Edmonton not ready for prime time, he says.
No. And Connor McDavid's going to leave and go somewhere better. There you go.
Toronto has how many points?
77.
77. Oh, boy. So now we're going to have to see who wins the tiebreaker between Toronto and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So we'll look that up. Let's see here. Toronto owned Edmonton 6-2 in this series. But I said Edmonton was making it out of this division all the way back on January 14th. I have no reason to change my mind. Toronto likes to in the playoffs.
James Reimer's going to hold him up.
He
Former
doesn't
Ready
even
goalkeeper.
play for Toronto.
I don't even know who he plays for. Colorado. No, that's Grubauer.
Just
Wow.
hush.
Who does James Reimer play for?
I don't even know if
now?
he's in the league anymore. As far as I know, he may have been over in Russia by now. I don't know.
James Reimer. He plays for the Hurricanes.
There you go. Maybe that's why they're in France. Telling you. As I said, Edmonton's just a year or two away from being a really good hockey team. That's why Connor McDavid is not going to play for another team. He will lift Lord Stanley's Cup in Edmonton this year. Maybe. Let's find out. So now out west, where again we are assuming Colorado wins tonight, so they would get St. Louis in round 1. Colorado also has a really good player. And what's his name?
Peter Forsberg.
Not Peter Forsberg.
I don't know.
Probably the second best player in the league. Seriously?
I can't.
For crying out loud. Go ahead, say his name.
I'm thinking.
Well, look it
Colorado.
up.
Let me go to Colorado's roster.
He's injured right now, but coming back for the playoffs because he took a dirty hit a couple games ago.
Roster. All right. It's not McKinnon.
Seriously, dead air is not good here.
Don't know who you're talking about.
Dead air is not good here. You talk about the series.
Who?
Talk about the series.
I don't know who you're talking.
Talk about the series.
Ratnan?
Talk about the series.
I have Colorado beating St. Louis 4-1. I think I'm just giving St. Louis a game out of spite. Honestly, it could be a 4.
Has the ability, though, to throw a game or two just to make the series interesting. They will win the series when Nathan McKinnon plays all out in game
That's who I
6.
said. I said it's not McKinnon, is it?
Right, because you said it in the negative.
I didn't think it was Nathan McKinnon.
Now, a series that could be really good, Vegas against Minnesota. Minnesota's on some really good hockey right now, playing really good. They came out of nowhere. Do they continue the hot streak against Vegas?
With your information, I decided on the upset. Minnesota's going to beat Vegas 4-3.
Okay.
Walk into Vegas in Game 7. This is another one of those. If Vegas has a home crowd, it's Vegas wins the series 4-2. Without a crowd, they're going to lose.
Okay. Yeah, Minnesota's not winning this series. They lose in 5.
Losing 5!
Did I
It was in
stutter?
5.
Did I stutter?
It was in 5.
If by chance Colorado loses tonight, Vegas beats Vegas beats St. Louis, and Colorado just gets by Minnesota in 7, by the way.
Where's my other West one? My other West, I had Vegas beating St. Louis 4-1 and Colorado beating Minnesota 4-2.
Okay. So we both have Vegas and Colorado then anyway, doesn't matter who finishes first. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you have Minnesota. Yeah, you're a loser. Colorado, Minnesota.
I have Colorado getting through in 5.
Colorado in 5. All right. Now, unfortunately, if they play each other, you have the 2 best teams in the league facing each other in round 2.
Yeah.
And that is a type matchup. Yeah. So that would have been nice to see a little later on. As hard as even as I said the Washington-Boston matchup is in round 1, this matchup is dead even in round 2 if they play each other. Either team could win this. I'm only going to go with Colorado because I said Colorado would come out of this division back in January. So that's the only reason why I'm taking them. Or else I don't know who I would have taken. But that's going to be an excellent series. I will watch every moment of that game. All right. So let's see who wins the tiebreaker between Pittsburgh and Toronto. They both have 29 wins in regulation.
Doesn't matter. They face each other. Colorado
they do
face
each other.
Seed.
Yes.
I have Tampa Bay, who'd be the 4 seed.
Yes, they do face each other. Who would have the home ice?
That I don't know.
They have the same number of points. They have the same number of wins in regulation. They have the same number of wins in regulation and overtime.
Nice.
I forget. Play off tie breakers. I mean, head-to-head can't be involved this time.
No. That'd be a tie, too.
All right. The greatest number of points earned in games between the tied clubs. Can't because they didn't face each other. The greater differential between goals for and goals against. So, Toronto is plus 41 and Pittsburgh is plus 40.
Nice.
Could you imagine if that was a tie? then it could all come down to who has the most yellow cards. Oh, wait, that's soccer.
When Japan got through in fair play in the World Cup.
Fair play. Yes, because there was like 27 different tiebreakers, and they tied in the first 26. So the last one was fair play.
Yeah, they had one less yellow card in group stage, which is the stupidest tiebreaker. And just have them have them just do a penalty shootout or something at that point. Fair play.
At some point in the NHL, what they do is a duel to the death, and whoever stays alive moves on.
Who can dig the grave quicker?
Yes. All right. So you have Colorado going up against Tampa.
Yes.
Which I believe was your Stanley Cup preview.
That it was. It was
No. You had Tampa and Calgary. Because you had Calgary beating Colorado if they faced each other. So, Colorado and Tampa and Pittsburgh, Toronto. Assuming Toronto has home ice.
Toronto in 7.
Toronto in 7. Your Stanley Cup champion.
Colorado in 5.
That sounds awfully familiar for what you said last year. Awfully familiar.
Well, I had Tampa winning it all. Because you said I'm boring and had back-to-back.
Yes. So for me, unfortunately, I would have loved for these matchups to be opposite. I have Colorado at 82 points going up against Edmonton with 72 points. I will watch every single second of that series. And I have Carolina with 80 points going up against Boston with 73 points. I will not watch a single second of that series.
You don't like that series? That's a great series.
No.
Get them Colorado or Boston in the. Can we just they face again in the.
Yes. Yes. If Colorado makes it to the finals, they get to play Vegas again.
The Rangers are automatically in.
Sure.
Right.
Why not? So Colorado over Edmonton, because again, Edmonton's still a year or two away. In 6, Carolina over Boston in 5. Colorado, Carolina. I hate Carolina. I can't.
Why do you hate Carolina?
Because they're just boring. I don't know. I don't like their uniforms.
They have the worst goal siren in the entire NHL.
There's just teams you don't like, and I just don't like them.
You just don't like any team on the East. Except the Rangers.
I like
and the Islanders. You like in-town rivals for some reason. Nice.
So does this mean we have to both take Colorado again like we did last season?
Yay.
But at least we have them facing different teams this year.
Our East was good. Completely different.
Yes. Colorado in 7.
3 division winners and a 3rd place defending.
Because last year they won a game with the Zamboni driver as goalie.
Is true?
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
You could have gotten goal.
Both of their goalies got hurt in the first period, so they had to put the Zamboni driver in as the emergency goal. And they won the game! They won the game! And then I bet against them like the next 5 games because they had to pull up their AHL goalie, and I won like 4 out of 5 of them.
Nice.
You don't remember that from last year?
Yeah.
See, I remember because it happened last year. If it happened last week, I wouldn't have remembered.
You also won money on it. That's why you remember.
All right, so those are our NHL predictions. What are yours? Quickly before we leave. Holy shit, this hour goes by so quick. It's already 8:15.
Capitals win it all.
How come you didn't pick them then to win it all?
Because they're not going to win it all.
Good reason.
I'll be rooting for them though.
Good reason. So, on Sunday, when you have nothing better to do when you wake up in the morning, so I already know
This.
what.
People don't get up before 9 in the morning.
Sure they do. Just because you don't get up before 9 in the morning.
Tom has Vegas versus Boston and Vegas winning.
You know, I would have no problem with Vegas winning. If Vegas take 2. If Vegas faces Boston in the finals, I hope Vegas puts up 9 in every game against them.
If you picked if the Rangers we're gone. No more Rangers. You'd pick Vegas as your favorite team. We already know this.
Or Colorado.
Or the Islanders.
No.
No.
They don't have Bossy and Potvin and Trottier and Smith.
Don't they still say Potman sucks or whatever?
Yes. Tom has nightmares about those Islander teams. Guaranteed, Tom has nightmares about those Islander teams from back then in the 70s and 80s. Guaranteed. So, you get up Sunday morning, you go to the bathroom, you empty the bladder, you come back in bed, you lay down, you rub one out because we all know you do that on Sunday mornings. And then I want you to turn on our other YouTube channel, the Pennsylvania Junior Bowlers Tour, and watch Breakfast with the PJBT this Sunday morning. It is our annual 2 a.m. tournament. Yes, the tournament starts at 2 a.m. Sunday morning. We will live stream the finals. It usually starts somewhere around 8:30, 9 o'clock.
I'll be asleep.
So join us Sunday morning. Well, join me then at least. I don't know who'll be commentating with me. Might be by myself because I believe Josh has to leave early. So
And I don't
probably
plan on going to that tournament.
no. So it'll probably be Matt and I.
If it was still in Lancaster, you'd be seeing me.
Tom says yes,
Right?
I do.
I will not be driving 3.5 hours to Allentown. Actually,
Bethlehem.
Even worse.
For a bowling center you normally don't bowl good in. Anyway.
At 2 in the morning, where I wouldn't feel safe. No offense to the area.
All right. Well, first off, you would drive up with me.
Yeah, I'd probably come down Saturday at some point.
Yeah. But you stay up there in Safe State College, calling yourself an upper person or whatever the hell they're calling you.
Fourth year.
No, fourth year, but they're getting rid of upperclassmen and underclassmen, calling you something else.
Upper division.
Yeah, that's it. Your upper division. Upper division. What is this? The English Premier League?
Yeah, we got the Premiership, we got the Championship, we got League One and League Two. There we go.
So join us anyway Sunday morning on our other YouTube channel, PJBT Bowling Series on YouTube for Breakfast with the PJBT, and you get to watch some really good young bowlers bowling in the finals of our last regular season event. And then we start I gotta try to figure out what the hell is going on. It literally says, my Wirecast program literally says I dropped 30 frames in an hour and 28 minutes we've been on. So the buffering issue is not through Wirecast. The buffering issue, I don't know what's going on, why it's buffering. Did anybody have any other buffering issues tonight besides right at the beginning? I mean, my TV, it's still buffering.
I just saw a buffer on my screen, too.
I mean, looking at it live on my other monitor, it's not buffering. It was only buffering at the beginning. I mean, it still says that I'm not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming, but my light is green. It stayed green the whole time. Never changed the yellow, never changed the red. Maybe I just need to get a new router. This router is getting kind of old now. It's about 6 or 7 years old, so maybe I just need to get another one now.
Tom says his is buffering.
All right. That sucks. We see you again. Remember, as always, where we go, one.
We go. Oh.
Have a great one, ladies and gentlemen.